same because you had a lot of these guys on your podcast, like Graham Mancup,
Yes.
Randall Carson, Jonathan West.
Yes.
There's clearly knowledge that we've lost
Yes.
in the past. Like, this is for sure. Like, just think about the Library of Alexandria.
Yes.
Man, imagine the knowledge that it wasn't there before it burned.
I know. Imagine.
Oh man,
Imagine.
People thinks we lost like 1 millennia, like just when it burns. That
Well,
of knowledge, medicine, botany,
Yes.
science. It's just crazy to think of. So sometimes when crazy stuff happen like that, like I just think that perhaps they had knowledge there's knowledge that we lost. Like, just think about the Greek fire. It's a weapon that was used in the naval battle, and it's really known about historian. You can research. They still don't know exactly how it works, but it was so destructive. It was like, at the time, it was like a weapon. Like, they didn't want to share, and it was known to be very efficient in naval battle.
I don't know what that is.
Fire. If you go Greek fire, you'll get it. Boom. It was used in naval battle. So they used to throw fire, flames, and people that are burning, they still burn in the water. So they think it was made with some kinds of petrol or they still don't know. They cannot recreate it. And it's clearly something that a lot of historians have talked about. It's called Greek fire. It's just an example that it's clear that it's a technology that we have lost.
Well, if you just the pyramids are a perfect example of technology lost. It's like the best example. Like those ancient civilizations almost letting everyone know, hey, there is information that we have that's so above and beyond what's expected of people from this era. Yeah. Because if you think about people that lived 2100 BC, you don't think about someone that had the kind of efficiency to create something that, when people don't understand, it's not just that the pyramids were big, but they were so perfectly designed that when they put all the stones, they reached the top. Like, if anyone was off by even a half an inch at the bottom, as time went on, an inch here, an inch there, by the time they got to the top, it would be all fucked up. It wouldn't be perfect. But the pyramids were so amazingly perfect, and they were originally covered in smooth limestone. So smooth, polished limestone that would probably be insane to look at if you were staring at it from a distance. Like this immense structure of 2,300,000 stones, some of them cut from quarries hundreds of miles away, all perfectly aligned and put together by these people that lived thousands and thousands of years ago.
Most scholars would say they use a ramp, but if you think about it, like, there's other scholars that would counter that by saying the construction of that ramp need to be in an angle that it could be so difficult to do that it will challenge the construction of the pyramid itself.
Well, again, it's like, may use a ramp. I don't know what they used.
We don't know. Yeah,
but whatever they used, it's so amazingly precise. Yeah. That they were able to make this 2,300,000 stone structure. This still to this day. I haven't been, but I have friends that have gone. Like my friend Andrew Schultz just went. Danica Patrick, the race car driver, she told me she just went. People that I know that have been. My friend Eddie Bravo, when he went, he's like, you get there, you're like, what the fuck? Yeah. It's so big. Apparently,
it's like an awakening.
Yes, that our idea of what it is, when you see it in a photograph, it looks incredible. But I guess I need to go, because I guess when you see it in person, it's just like a complete reset. Like, it recalibrates what people are capable of, because you have to think like, man, this is 4,500 years old.
Think about Darren Kuyu, Gobtepe.
Yes,
man, it's
Tepe's
the thing
10,000 years older.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's like 12,000 years old.
At least.
Yeah. How do you conceive that? And sometimes what happens is that it gets infected by other civilization that passed there after that construction. So they think they are the one that built it. I think is it Pumaku, the one that there's clearly two different technology. You see the stone are perfectly aligned with perfectly cut. Then you have other stone that are just on top, like it's like a butcher's job, and it's clearly not the same technology, the same people that built these two layers, you know.
Right.
So
Well,
it's
that was
just
also
fast.
John Anthony West's concept of Egypt, that there's multiple eras, and that if you go deeper, like some of the stuff that they found when they dig deeper in the sand was a different construction method. It looked different, different designs, but still equally complex and fascinating. It's like there's probably many eras of human civilization, and there's probably been whatever it is, whether it's disease or some sort of a natural disaster or something that happened. Asteroidal impact was John Anthony or was Randall Carlson's and Graham Hancock's.
Yeah.
That's their theory. Is that
12,000 years ago,
Yeah.
at the end of the Pleistocene.
Yes.
But Homo sapien is date to 3,000 years old. You know, so imagine
How many?
3,000.
No, Homo sapiens.
Homo sapiens 3,000.
I think it's older than that. I think it's several hundred
Three-
thousand.
300,000. Sorry.
Oh, yes,
Three-
yes,
300,000.
yes.
Sorry, my English.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Homo
right.
sapien is 300,000 in Morocco. That's just I'm 100% sure. That's why I read about this kind of stuff.
I think they think it's somewhere in that neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah. But so if you take that 300,000, sorry, 300,000 time for an evolution.
Right.
Why would it be only in the last 10,000 years that we would, you know,
Invent structures.
it's kind of strange. It makes sense to me.
Well, it's also we're different from all the other animals. Like we're the animal that wears shoes. We're the only animal that wears clothes. We're the only animal that manipulates its environment the way we do. I mean, other animals think, bees make beehives and shit like that, but they don't do anything even remotely interesting in comparison to what we're capable of doing and what we have done for thousands and thousands of years. And why? One of the things that Bob Lazar said that he was taught when he was at Area S4, at Area 51 S4, was that one of the things that they were telling him was that human beings are the product of accelerated evolution, and that these creatures occasionally come back to check upon our progress. And yeah, which is crazy.
Wow.
But that might be how it works throughout the universe, is that these beings that are very far advanced, they come back and they see these creatures that are pretty close, and they give them a little boost. They push them ahead a little bit, because otherwise it would take so long. And maybe we don't have the amount of time because of the fact that we're in this fucking shooting gallery of asteroids, that these things come down and whatever progress you make is wiped out by impacts or by supervolcanoes.
It's crazy. It's not that crazy. If you look at the belief of human being through evolution, like in ancient Greek, they believe in they were believing in different gods, like in different times, different civilization had different belief. Now some people believe Jesus walked on water, which is fine too. That's their belief, If you believe that human was, the result of alien beings, it's another belief,
It's not.
Everybody believe in different things.
It's not that crazy if you
No,
think
it's
about
not.
what we're
It's not.
doing. They just the helicopter on Mars, like yesterday.
Yeah, it was recently. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're doing weird shit by sending things to other planets, and they roam around and take photographs and send it back to us, and we watch these high-resolution images from the surface of Mars. This is just within the last, less than 100 years, and we're capable of doing this. Who knows what's going to happen within a few thousand years?
Yeah.
So if human beings stay alive and the Earth stays in one piece for a few thousand years, and then we're sending things out to various planets, and maybe that's what these beings are. Maybe these beings are these artificial intelligent robots that other intelligent entities have constructed and send out through the galaxy.
I'm going to tell you something in the future, because now we know there is...
Real concern is that just like we are an evolution of those lower primates, it's going to be an evolution of us.
Yeah, I think I don't think, there may not be any avoiding it.
It might not be.
Again, we're the virus.
Yeah.
And this is just one of my thoughts. This is me saying unequivocally that
But
we
we're
are
cool.
the virus. Just,
The thing is people. This is the other side of it. People are cool.
Yeah,
They're cool to
I
hang
often
around
pray
with.
that they'll go ahead and attack this motherfucker, so white people and black people will cut the bullshit and finally have to unite like one great movie of Red October.
Dude, I think we're going to get asses kicked. At
least for one time in humanity, all the empires would have to unite. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Do you remember that speech?
No.
You never heard it?
Uh-uh.
Reagan actually said that I forget who he was addressing.
You may be the first
But it's
person to ask it, besides him putting in the civil rights, the King Day. You might get only other thing I like about Ronald Reagan.
It was a very strange thing he said.
Okay.
And one of the things that was really strange about it was that it shot off this gigantic wave of conspiracy theorists who are thinking that they're tell us something about contact. Check this out. Listen to this.
Some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Dude.
And yet I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
Tell you what, dude. Ronald Reagan knocked the fucking park right there.
Well, that's
no matter what you say.
yo, straight up. I have a song called, many of you know, wasn't the biggest fan of him or many U.S. presidents because I rapped about more than him in there. But that definitely is going to make it on a Killer Mike song.
Really?
I have
awesome.
to. You got it. Just Killer Mike and LP. We definitely, if anybody think aliens are going to come kill us all one day, so I'm going to maybe suggest to L. Hopefully he'll use it, but if not, fuck it, I'm going to do it. That shit is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that it is possible that aliens came down and manipulated the genetics of lower primates and created people?
I'm willing, based on all the theology, I'm willing to accept it. That's a possibility, because I don't think that we're alone. Right? I just don't. There's nothing. Even if there's some divine thing that woke up and decided to make us, and we're special children, and we're on Earth, the blue planet, there had to have been some other things made or played with. Right? I don't think that. I think it's very arrogant as a human being to think that it's just us, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that the possibility that something made it here and something happened exists, absolutely. Because if we're experimenting on animals and things, we got, my daughters are me. Their temperament is me. Their curiosity is me. Like I'm looking at Michael and I'm looking at Anaya and I'm like, arguing with Anaya is like arguing with myself. She doesn't know why she acts like that. I don't know. Now, if I can look at my pit bull and say, well, her mother acted like this, and this is why I know she's coded this way, I know her father was this, then I have to look at my daughter and say, on a genetic basis, 23 of my chromosomes, I know our temperament is like that. I know why Michael is not going to argue. She's a smart kid, she's an art student, but the minute you put her in danger, she's going to punch you. You know what I mean? That's what it's going to be. And it's not going to be anything else because she is going to protect her. And her. So it's like, I have to think that my curiosity, if nothing else, my drive to do this. So if you take the primate side, you say, well, you know that I have to live amongst this. I got to survive as wolves, as lions, tigers, bears out here. I have to go high. I have to create shelter. There's something else with a very small input could have dropped here, landed here. And what's crazy, if you look into Nation of Islam philosophy of sorts, they have a UFO type philosophy. Something here, and by their mind, a scientist created, all of went a ray and kind of created the different races. But something could have come here, and it gets here, and it says, boom, if I do this and this, and I create this, and then we set upon evolution, and we end up here. Or that just could be, me stoned, having watched too many sci-fi movies. But it's possible.
It is possible. There's zero evidence for it, but it's certainly possible that if we could go to another planet that we knew had life, that it's possible if we found some lower primates that we would manipulate them. Yeah. It's very possible.
No,
if we had a full survey of another planet, we got there and okay, here's the good news. Good news, a lot of life. Yeah. Bad news is the most intelligent thing is basically a chimp. But we got some ideas, and what we're going to do is we're going to plant some seeds of our genetics in some of these chimps. They're going to be smarter than the other chimps, and then we're going to leave mushrooms everywhere.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Leave the mushrooms everywhere. Let the chimps eat the mushrooms.
Maybe we're fishbowl.
Maybe.
Yeah, because again, we very arrogantly think of ourselves as top choice, but maybe we're just a virus on this living thing. Maybe we say, but you think about it. We could go extinct.
Yep.
A mass virus could kill us all.
Yep. For sure.
That's what we're constantly fighting. The Earth wouldn't stop.
But the thing about viruses, virus is wholly negative in our eyes. I don't think we're wholly negative to each other.
I don't think a virus thinks it's wholly negative.
So what I'm saying is when they're eating you up, you're having a good party. When you get the flu, they're like, dude, it's a party up in this bitch.
If this thing is really a living thing, if the Earth is really a living thing, we are possibly the worst things for it.
Oh, for sure.
Why shouldn't it get rid of us?
Other than meteors.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're the worst thing, not just the biological life, but the particulates in the atmosphere.
And now we're creating technology that's going to eventually kill rid of us that may be able to live in harmony with biology. Maybe. So, maybe it's over for us in a few thousand years.
But what is your perspective after the incident versus before the incident? Like, how much did it change the way you view the world and our place in the world?
For me, I never believed that we were alone. It's just me. I just look up and go, there's way too many stars up there for us to be
Right.
in one life. After it, it makes it a little more clear to go, one, my questions are, where'd it come from? That's the biggest one. Where'd it come from? What was it doing? And then I've asked, why me? I mean, why did I happen to be, because you can say wrong place, wrong time.
Right. Or right place, right time.
Or right place, right time. For me, it was, I think there's more out there. And if I could get word out to anyone, it's like, especially the debunkers of, one, quit trying to debunk it, because it is what it is. There wasn't a system glitch. This was a real incident that happened. And number two is, let's open our aperture a little bit and start thinking outside of the box. If you go, you look at it and go, hey, it's this non-reactive propulsion. Well, it's because when we came up with propulsion, we the people long before us came up with a reactionary propulsion system, and that became our standard. Had we done something different where we developed non-reaction, we might look at something like a gasoline engine and go, holy cow, how's that thing work?
Right.
We wouldn't have that idea. So, I think there's, if you look at it and go, people thought Einstein was kind of nuts, and we're still proving his theories today. And what we're learning is that he was right. And he was right. There was a time when the earth was flat, except for some people in California, the earth isn't flat, it's round.
It's not just people in California. They're all over the place.
There's not an ice wall. So when you look at that and you go, a lot of the stuff that we thought was true isn't true. It's totally been changed. So for me, I just say, I think let's get outside of the box and go, if we can develop a technology that would, and I don't look at it from a military standpoint, because it would be a game changer from a military standpoint. Technology like that would be a game changer for mankind, completely. I mean, it would literally, everything that we do, and we don't know exactly, you could, do you want that system in a car? People have
Right.
trouble driving in 2 dimensions, let alone 3.
Right.
It's kind of like your joke last night. I mean, you can't even handle the vaping thing, let alone driving a car that goes up, down, works in 3 dimensions.
Well, that was what they wanted helicopters to be. They wanted to be flying cars.
Yeah, if you get out on the road, you see how people drive. And I always laugh because people think, well, we're 3-dimensional. Like, we know that this table is not the floor, but really humans are 2-dimensional people. And you learn that, especially when we would fight, if you can really work in the 3rd dimension, which is up, and you go, well, we are 3-dimensional. I go, no, if you look at like a tall building is, 1,700 feet high, the big ones. And you go, no, for an F-18 to do a split S, which is go from up here and just do a vertical 180-degree turn, so you're going this way and you go down here. It's like 2,500 feet. And that's tight. That's a tight turn for a jet, unless you're running like vectored thrust stuff, but everything has a cost. So if you do some big Hayaka, you bleed off energy, there's a cost associated with that. That, to a pilot, that's 3 dimensions. To most people on Earth, you go, no, I look at a hill and go, I don't want to walk up that thing.
Right.
And in an airplane, it's a totally different thing. So if we just open up that expanse, for what we're trying to do for technology and go, is there another way? Because we still build suckers and blowers, which is the jet engine. Mm-hmm. We just refine the internals, the turbines, to get them to be more efficient. Where I go, why don't you just put your efforts someplace else? Like I was talking to, there's a whole realm of physics that really doesn't get explained, and it's. I was talking to Steve Justice about it. It's more into the magnetics type side that we don't spend a lot of time on. And I know he said when he was working at Skunk Works, he did it's called IRAD, Internal Research and Development money, that he would fund to try and look at some of these other technologies for propulsion. And he's now since retired, but really impressive to talk to him at the level that you can, which is, for us would be an unclassified level. But, the stuff that goes on behind closed doors, there's reasons for it, because if a technology like that got out where someone could rapidly reproduce it after all you've done, or they got it first, if you think of the atomic bomb, Germans almost had it. We got it. Russians were working on it. We got it first. Changed the world. Literally changed the world when we detonated the first one. And you go, I'm not going to get into the politics behind it, but now we had it, and now it was the race everyone else because they had to get on equal par because it's a destabilizing thing. And now all of a sudden, if you develop a technology like this and you keep it to yourself, you've got something that no one else has, and it's a huge leap. I mean, it's a quantum leap. Do you share it because it's a mankind thing, or do you keep it for yourself? And that's right now. It's not for me to decide. I'm just Dave.
Well, it's fascinating that some other method of propulsion could have been established in some other place.
Yeah.
And that we're experiencing it, or that you've experienced it, and some other folks have experienced it in action. And I just think for us as people, as human beings in 2019, it's really easy to think that what we have now is so amazing, and that what we have now is the pinnacle of discovery, and that what we have now is, with our electricity and with our LED screens, and that we are experiencing like the height of technology. When if you're some creature from some other planet that is got easy access to element 115 and some gravity propulsion system, you're looking at us like we're digging holes in the side of a mountain to protect ourselves from the rain. We're cave people.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're here on Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at like a first world, like the United States,
Sure.
or the developed nations, and then you go to some of these other and go, people are still getting their water out of a hole in the ground with a bucket.
Right. Or people in the rainforest that are living these indigenous lifestyles. Yeah.
So, take them something. I mean, take them one of these flat screens down to one of these tribes that no one's ever seen, and go, hey, look.
Yeah.
And start showing them pictures of themselves that you're shooting real time, or video that's feeding directly
Right.
into it. They'll freak out.
They'll think it's
like,
magic.
Would you capture my soul?
Right.
So it's where are we at, and what are we going to do, and what can we do?
Did it change the way you look at life? I mean, even though you knew that, or you had this feeling that we were not alone just from looking at the stars, but when you actually see the thing, like I would imagine that has got to really shift your perspective.
I don't know if it shifted my perspective, but it was more of it's a validation.
A confirmation.
You go, yeah, I've always like, yeah, oh God, there's a lot of stars. And then you see something like this and go, well, maybe we're not. Because that pushes you to the next point to go, if one lands in my front yard, then I'll be 100% sure that we are not alone because it's sitting in my front yard. But, I mean, I got within a half mile of this thing, which is, people go, well, a half mile is pretty far away. Again, not when you're flying an airplane. Half mile is like really tight.
When they bring you have these conversations with high-level government officials, how long are these conversations?
So I've talked to 3 different groups of people.
This is post the
This is
New York
post-New York
Times
Times
article?
article.
So the New York
Yeah.
Times article come 2017.
Yes.
And then our government.
The other pilot that was involved had been to D.C. multiple times. This is how I got in touch with Lou. She had called me and said, hey, I need to talk to you. So I called her and I said, what's going on? She says, hey, has anyone called you about the Tic Tac? And I said, no. She goes, I've been to the Pentagon like a half dozen times, and they'll take me in and anywhere from Starbucks to, inside of a vault. And she goes, and they'll talk to me about the story, and then they'll show me a picture. Something goes to look like this. And then she gets pretty frustrated and goes, we call it the Tic Tac because it looked like a Tic Tac. What part don't you get? I mean, go get a thing of Tic Tacs and look at them.
When they're saying, are they showing actual
something
crafts that they
yeah.
have?
No, not pictures that they have, but a video from someone else. Like they'd show the gimbal video. Hey, did it look like this?
Okay.
And it was no. So, and that's when I told her, I said, well, just tell this guy that you're talking to, just give him my name and number. I go, I'll talk to him. It's not a big deal to me. And that started. So when I got asked, multiple times to go down and talk to people, one of them was supposed to be 20 minutes. And these are important people. Getting 20 minutes of some of these folks' time is like, that's a huge deal. So we went in thinking, okay, we're going to do the thing, 20 minutes, and then we're in. And an hour and a half later, we came out. I mean, that's the interest of, and there were some, you get the group, the folks that come in and out. But there's a few that just sat there and were enamored by what we were saying. Like, you're joking. We're like, no, this is all real. I mean, these are pretty senior officials that are taking the time out of their day to take this serious, to go, maybe we do need to put a little emphasis on this. I mean, if something can just show up at will and do whatever it wants, and I'd probably at least pay attention.
Yeah, pay attention. What could be done? I mean, what could they do? If you put yourself in a position of one of these high-level government officials, what do you do? Just spend more money on looking at them?
Look at money, though. I mean, I know when the article came out and they talked about the ATIP program, that Harry Reid got funded $22 million over 5 years. So it's $4.4 million a year. And you go, everyone's freaking out. Oh, it's $22 million. I go, no, it wasn't $22 million a year. It was $4.4 million. That's not even in the rounding error for the United States. We just got approved what? It was $750 billion for a defense budget. $750 billion. If you took $100 million out of that, it's not even going to put a dent. And I go, why can't you? If you're only spending $4.4 million a year and you can actually get some good work done, because you don't need a huge team, because you figure if you look at I think what's the number, like 10-15% of all these UFOs, like if you look at Project Blue Book, really remained unexplained. And you go, okay, so you can weed out, you can read out me flying over someone in a campfire and lighting my afterburners. So you can go, no, that was Dave being Dave. So you can weed that stuff out. Now you go, now I'm really kind of concentrating the funds. The most important thing, and I talked to the folks when we were talking, because we talked about funding, and I said, let me leave you with this. And I had got some pretty good stuff. I was talking to Chris Mellon, who's a former undersecretary and understands how the government works. So it was where he gave me some really good feedback. And I talked to him. I said, look, I'm all for you guys funding a program. But what you need to do is fund a program that there's going to be oversight over. When I say oversight, I mean, because what happens is you go, here's money, but we're going to distribute it in the government. So we're going to distribute it to these 3 different agencies across the United States government. So, I don't just call them agency A, B, and C. So you give it to them, and I'll go back to like the 9/11 stuff where we really had the answer, but all the agencies weren't talking to each other to put all the pieces together. And that's my fear, that you go, hey, we're going to take $100 million of taxpayer money. We're going to fund a program to actually seriously investigate this stuff and look at the technology. But there are 3 different entities working on their own and not talking to each other. So there's got to be a joint collaboration to where we go, we're going to do it, but, Joe's going to be in charge, and you guys are all going to play nice in the sandbox together because we want to get our money's worth, because people will raise the fraud, waste, and abuse flag that we're wasting money on something stupid.
What do you think of all this Pentagon UFO, we've recovered crafts, not of this world talk?
Okay, yeah, I think 2 things, I think, again, can always be true at the same time. I don't think we're the only intelligent life out there. I mean, I'm classifying us as intelligent. But I also don't think we're hiding some alien spacecraft somewhere.
So why do you think the Pentagon would come out and say something like that?
Well, I think, look, we did here comes a pitch for my show. For Black Files Declassified. That's Black Files Declassified.
Black Declassified, and how could one watch this show?
God, that was a good first season, wasn't it? It was on Discovery, on Science Channel.
Ah, love Discovery. I love the Science Channel.
We did an episode on Advanced Aeronautic Threat and Identification Program, ATIP, which was the Pentagon's admitted, came out and said, yes, we have a program, that we ran a program. It's no longer in existence, called ATIP, which was designed to identify unidentified aviation threats, basically. So it's not talking about UFOs necessarily. It could be a hostile, prototype aircraft that, what is that?
I talked to Commander Fravor.
David Fravor.
Yeah, David was in here,
Yeah.
and he explained his incident off of the coast of San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And he said they tracked this thing. It dropped from 60,000 feet to 1 foot above the sea in a second.
Yeah. And he wasn't. It wasn't just him seeing, right?
No.
There was the radar operators on
Exactly.
board and his wingmen.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but I think
They said it was tracking them, and then it actually actively blocked tracking.
and then no visible means of propulsion.
Exactly. No
right.
form, no heat signal.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's look, and he's a very credible.
He's as credible
witness.
as it gets.
Yeah. Right. And so. I mean,
He's not the only one.
Yeah, not everything. I mean, but
What do you think of that?
yeah, I think we don't. Well, here's what I think. I think we haven't resolved that issue. We don't know. There was no final report that gave some sort of conclusive evidence that said this is what this this object was. It is considered still to this day to be an anomaly, perhaps they just no clarification, which is interesting in all by itself. And again, kind of goes back to this. Look, are we the only intelligent people? No. But do I think that the government is capable, all these years, of holding a secret like that? No, I really don't. I think there's much like with MK Ultra or anything else like it. Eventually, shit hits the fan. Stuff comes out. And I don't think I'm not one of those, and I say this, and I'm sure a lot of people disagree, but I just don't think that the government's capable of keeping secrets for the long term. Certainly not of this magnitude. But I think there are certainly things that have happened that we can't explain. And,
What do you
and
think
one of them
that
would be
is?
the sighting by Fravor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but materials, materials that aren't, from Earth. Look, shit hits the Earth from space all the time, and that qualifies as a material that is not
but
found.
That's not what they said, though.
Well,
They said they've recovered crafts not from this world.
yeah, I would want to sit down with the
Me
individual
too.
saying that and say, okay, clarify this, please.
I'd want to take them to one of them brothels.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. I sit there with a
Dose 'em
martini
up.
behind that mirror. It's like, okay.
Hey, man,
Yeah.
tell me you really saw.
There you go. Bring one of those hookers in from the '60s. But no,
No, don't do that to her or him.
no.
I
But
would want to know, though, what is actually happening, and why would they come out with a statement like that?
well, I'm going to tell you this between you and me is second season of Black Files Declassified. We're going to be looking at that.
Why do you think?
I don't know what that's the big question is why would they say that?
Right.
And I don't have an answer for that. I don't know, and that's why I say it
It's a shocker.
definitely bears further investigation. That goes without saying.
If there was something that was coming,
Mm-hmm.
they would want to prepare people. And I think if you wanted to prepare people, the best way to prepare people is to slowly give them signs that some shit is about to go down. And one of the best ways is to say, we have found things that are not of this world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, think about that for a little while. We'll see you in a few months. A few months of accepting that without any. See, there's no event, right? It's
Yeah.
just a statement.
What was the exact wording?
Let's
Can we
find
bring that up? Yeah, the exact
we pull it
wording
up?
of.
Here it is. Crashes. Harry Reid said he believed crashes of vehicles from other worlds had occurred, and that retrieved materials had been studied secretly for decades.
Yeah.
Now, Bob Lazar. Do you know the story of Bob Lazar? Bob Lazar here, and he said some things that were ridiculed but turned out to be absolutely true. One of the things that he said was that there was this element 115, and that they had figured out a way to stabilize this element in these other planets, and that's what they used to propel these vehicles with a different kind of propulsion that manipulated gravity, and it essentially had created some sort of a warp where they weren't subject to the same laws of physics
Right.
with this propulsion system that we are with what we have, which is just igniting fuel and pushing the explosion pushes the rocket into space.
Which could explain sort of the Fravor sighting.
Yeah, and the way he described these vehicles in the 1980s and the early 1990s is exactly the way Fravor's vehicle worked. Exactly the way the gimbal video worked. These things, for whatever reason, they fly one way and then they turn sideways. Like if you had a plate, the plate turns up and down, and then that's the way it travels. And then somehow or another, that's how it travels insanely fast. That it does something to manipulate gravity around it.
Yeah.
It's super weird. But the fact that this talked about this in the early 90s, and then this is the exact video that the Pentagon refers to, that you actually see these objects that they can't explain, that don't give off a heat signal, that move in this exact same way at spectacular rates of speed. And then that's how the TikTok craft worked too.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a leap there necessarily
Right.
that you got to make.
I don't want to make that leap either. I know
yeah.
what you're saying. Like for years, like it's all horseshit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. Again, not saying I'm just saying there's certain parts of this, like okay, Harry Reid talking about it. Well, look, Harry Reid was he was very interested in this stuff. He allocated some federal funds to one of his buddies in Nevada to create a sort of a center for examining this and for developing space exploration capabilities. So Harry Reid is certainly interested in this. I talked to Lou Elizondo, who ran ATIP, right? And you don't really get that answer when you say, okay, Lou, Was ATIP holding on to materials, that came from a alien craft? No.
Right,
what they're
but
saying is
maybe it was ATIP that was involved in that.
maybe it wasn't
aspect of
ATIP.
the-
Yeah. No, that's that. Okay, I get that. And again, I guess what I'm saying is I'm open to say, yeah, fine. Look, anything's possible. I suppose in this world, things that I do know is I have a really hard time believing the government could keep this all buttoned up over a period of time. And
Isn't there a genuine ridicule factor for coming
sure.
forward that
Sure.
would help? I mean, that's a part of the whole things about all the UFO stories. They're so ridiculous.
Well, that's why they set up ATIP to begin with, right? Was so that they could have sort of a legitimate outlet and a place for this to go. But yeah, Fravor himself talks about it. Look, it's not in their best interest to get back on the carrier and say, by the way, we spotted an unidentified flying object.
Yeah.
But they did, and. Yeah, and you're right. So that's the natural tendency is to kind of look the other way or roll your eyes, and that can act as a deterrent. Yeah, I don't know. But I do think that it bears further investigation. There's no doubt about that. And I think that the ATIP program that the Pentagon was running, for the minimal cost of that compared to the cost of another air asset or a platform of some sort, I think they should have kept it going, right? And they should have normalized to some degree because it's in our national security interest to know. Have the Russians or have others developed materials, right, or propulsions? Everybody's working on new propulsion systems, right? Everybody that has the ability and the resources. So hypersonic craft, that's just coming, right? That's going to happen, and whoever wins that particular race is going to be further up the food chain than everybody else. So it's in our national interest to be exploring any legitimate or potentially legitimate sighting to understand what that is. That doesn't mean you're chasing UFOs or sort of spacecraft from it just means you should know what the hell that is or what's out there. So I'm a big proponent of that. I'm just saying also you have to pursue.
This is before Eddie was deep into conspiracies. Back then, it was like he was like into UFOs and shit. He was barely into conspiracies. He's way off the deep end.
So you get into UFOs, man. Like, God damn. Like, well, maybe it is true.
I'm scheduled to have a phone call today, this afternoon, with George Knapp. He wants to brief me on all this shit. George Knapp is the guy that broke the Bob Lazar story in the 1990s.
Yeah.
And, he shares my opinion. He's like, most of this is bullshit. Most of these people are liars. Most of these people are crazy.
Right.
But there's some real shit out there, too. Like a lot of these Air Force pilots, they have eyes on this fucking thing that's going 600 miles away in a second, like dropping down from 60,000 feet to 10 feet, like in a second.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know. We don't know what the fuck this is. We have no idea how these things are doing this.
Right. And that's some hillbilly, like, just talking about Sasquatch.
Exactly. Yeah, it's Air Force pilots.
Yeah.
People who, they're trained to fly jets and have gunfights in the fucking sky.
Right.
These are exceptional human beings.
Yeah.
When they see things like that, you got to go, they know what the fuck they're seeing.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. Every day, you could go out there and look in the sky and you don't see shit. You go, there's nothing up there because you're not seeing it. But if you go to a fucking lake, you're never going to see a shark. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it doesn't mean sharks aren't real.
Right.
It's like you're looking in the wrong spot or you aren't there when they show up, but they're real. So we have enough accumulated data to know that, there are sharks. They are real, but they're not in lakes. They're in the ocean. Here's where they are. This is how you find them. Go to South Africa. Oh, look, there's a shark.
Yeah, let's go to Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them.
Oh, yeah. Or fucking Catalina. Off of Catalina, there's a shit ton of them.
I worked a Boy Scout camp in Catalina, and I was teaching snorkeling. And that was like, the whole time I was shitting myself.
Oh, my God.
It's the nicest water in the world, though. It's so warm and salty. You just float,
We did fear out there a couple times.
Really?
Yeah, we did a couple of stunts.
Nice.
A couple of water stunts.
It's a cool. We stayed on the other side, like there's the hotels on the one side and everything. We were on the other side, the campsites. It was awesome. I was like 13, and I got so roasted. My entire body became one blister.
Oh, no.
Stupid. I was stupid.
No sunscreen?
None. Out there all day long. Yeah.
So I don't know if, UFOs are real, but it's certainly believable enough. It's not like the sky's empty. It's filled with stars.
So do you now, after speaking with him, do you think we've had contact like that?
Hard to tell.
Yeah,
because
but
they could have been
for
lying.
your own opinion, not for listeners, not for anybody else. Just you, when you're at home and you're chilling, do you think it?
Don't know. I really honestly don't know. I couldn't say yes or no. I'm more inclined now to think there's something going on than I was before I met Lazar and watched that documentary. Because I was on the, not that I was saying that aliens are not real. I think there's 100% life out there.
For sure.
Let's just say that.
It's too big.
Right. It just doesn't make any sense that there isn't.
Right.
It's the question of whether it ever has gotten here. It's the weird question. And it's also, the problem is that you feel foolish talking about it because so many people who believe in it are foolish. And so many people who tell stories, their stories are foolish. So you feel foolish kind of going along with it.
Right.
But I'm very careful about stuff like that because I'm like, just because something makes you feel foolish doesn't mean it's true.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, or doesn't mean it
it's
isn't
wrong.
true.
Yeah.
So I definitely think there's a very high likelihood that there's life out there. And it's entirely possible that something's gotten here before. But as to whether or not something really has made contact with people, I don't know. If I would say, like, where's my scale, it's like probably 65% believe.
Yeah.
35% going,
Especially after talking to that guy.
yeah. But what he could have experienced something that was an experimental aircraft that they didn't want to tell him.
Right.
You never know, man. I mean, I just don't know what the tech. Look, I'm a moron. Like, I don't understand physics at all. I have no knowledge of propulsion systems or mathematics, and I don't know what the top of the field in propulsion experts are capable of today. I don't know. There might be some shit that they're working on that they've never really perfected, so they've never actually implemented it in the battlefield or something like that, but they have some sort of a drone that looks like it would be filled with 3-foot-tall people like these aliens that they described. I don't know.
And they're not going to fill you in on that. If you think it's aliens, then fine, it's fucking aliens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what that was? I mean, they're taking this guy who was a physicist from Los Alamos Labs who went to Caltech, and they sent him to these classes at MIT to learn fucking nuclear shit, and then they try to see if he can figure out how to back engineer something. They try to say, that doesn't mean it comes from another world. I mean, it could have been a Russian thing. It could have been something that the Germans figured out. I mean, I don't know. But I'm more inclined to believe him than not believe him.
Yeah, he didn't seem like he was full of it, you know.
Exactly.
And just looking at him, he also seemed like he even wanted to be here.
He did. Just talking about it before we even got out here. It's like, I just gotta tell you, I'm getting a migraine.
Yeah.
And like, you know, Jeremy was trying to talk him into doing it. Like, we're gonna be fine, George. I mean, Bob, this is important. It's really good to do this, and we're gonna be able to really get the story out. But I think more people told me that they got more out of the conversation because it's just him talking, no spooky music, no edits.
Right.
And you get to see, like, he's honest about what he knows and doesn't know. And when he would say, like, what do you think about this? He's like, maybe, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, it's like, he wasn't a bullshitter.
He didn't rehearsed or full of shit, nothing.
No.
Like, what he was saying, if he didn't believe in that, at least to himself, what he was saying, I'd be fucking amazed.
And his story has not deviated in 30 plus years, which you can't. You try to have me tell a story of something that actually really did happen from 30 years ago, and I probably told it a bunch of different times.
I don't know what we still podcast.
Exactly.
With, you know?
It's hard, especially when my memory varies day to day. Like, some days it's awesome, and some days it's dog shit.
Yeah, it's crazy how that's
Yeah.
You've had a few concussions, right?
Oh yeah.
I have horrible.
So vulnerable. And that's one of the weirder things. Like, so first we should get into what you do, because you have a very interesting theory. Tell everybody what your background is, first of all.
Yeah, all right. That does seem a place to start. My background is in anthropology, biological anthropology. My research mostly focuses on evolutionary anatomy. I've done some archaeology, various places around the world, in Montana. But the reason I'm here, I assume, because according to my friend Matt, we were butchering a mule deer, I think I shot. And I was like, yeah, I got to go to this conference. And I was like, do you want to know what it's about? He's like, nobody gives a shit about what you do on UFOs, man. I was like, damn it, he's right. Like, I did actually used to do a lot of what I thought was cool stuff. But no, the main thing is that I've become known for advocating for this idea that UFOs and the aliens are actually our time-traveling future human descendants. I wouldn't even say as opposed to extraterrestrials, because I think that's a component too. I oftentimes get pigeonholed. People are like, oh, you just think they're all time travelers. I don't. I actually say this all the time, but it doesn't matter. I do think there's a lot going on. But my background and the reason I approach this question this way is because there's a lot of characteristics of these aliens that look so hominin. They look just like us. And specifically what we'd expect to see in the future if the same evolutionary trends continue into the future. So I kind of just tie those things together. And even the saucer-shaped craft seemingly are time machines themselves. So that's kind of the cliff notes.
It's a theory that a lot of people have independently sort of come to, right?
Yeah, especially recently.
And the concept of, well, if you just think about ancient man. I was watching this documentary on Neanderthals last night about this one intact Neanderthal skeleton that they found it had sort of been, he had died in a cave, and there's stalagmites. Is stalactites or mites? How do you say it?
Tights are up, mites are down.
So he was essentially mineralized.
Mm-hmm.
There was stuff all over the body, and it took a long time for them to break this body.
I think I saw that. Was that on Netflix?
No, I was watching it on YouTube. Maybe originally it was on Netflix. But it was just documenting how strange this body was that they had found. But it was immensely strong, like much stronger than us. One of the interesting things was that their visual cortex, the part of the brain that would process imagery, was larger than ours, 10 to 20% larger.
Yeah.
And so these things probably had better eyesight than us, perhaps even were able to see at night. And that this was a bigger, stronger version of a human being, like much more durable than what we are, modern 2025 Homo sapiens.
Yep.
If you just look, that's it. So that's one of them.
Cool.
Neither human nor Neanderthal.
Oh, really?
This is published in
Is this the
August.
same? This might not be the same one. This is maybe a different one. That's a weird one because what's that fucking thing on its head?
That's what it says. It's a stalactite growing out of it or something.
Wow. In a weird form. Weird.
Yeah, it's like a unicorn.
Like a
So
crest.
They do have a sagittal ridge.
Yes.
Homo erectus had one. There's an offshoot in hominid lineage called the Paranthropus or robust Australopithecines, and they had a full-on like gorilla style sagittal ridge. Because they were vegetarians, so they just chewed all day.
Right. So they have muscles to chew.
Yeah, their face is huge.
Wow.
Neanderthals, they were just big. It's
Yeah.
just a robusticity thing, but there is evidence from Shanidar Cave in Iraq where they were using their teeth as tools. We think they were like tanning hides. They were holding hide in their mouth and then like scraping all the nasty bits off.
Oh.
You can see that in the tooth wear. So yeah, they were pretty badass. They were the first. I don't know. I think this is cool, but a lot of people think I'm a nerd too. They were the first to use like for 2.8 million years. We just hit a piece of rock and like, oh, this is a cool tool. But then they figured out that if you hit the rock in just the right way, the piece that falls off, even better tool. It took us like 2.5.
Yes.
Exactly.
You make an arrowhead.
And from going on, like I got to work at a place called Chez Pinot à Jonzac in southern France for a summer, and it was a Neanderthal. And we found these. Actually, it's pretty funny because when we first got these tools called MTA hand axes, Musteri and it was Schul tradition hand axes, and there were only 8 found in all of Europe. And they said, if you guys find one of these, we'll buy you all the beer and all the cognac you can drink. So we're in the Cognac region of France. And we found one like the 4th or 5th day. We went on to find 7 more over the course of that week. We doubled the number of these things in existence in all of Europe. And they were not lying. They bought us so many damn beers. Like archaeologists like to drink. We dig and it's boring as hell. You know, it's not Indiana Jones. We're not around banging hot chicks and flying on planes. We're like, we got a spoon and we're doing this for 8 hours. So, I actually found the last one on the last day, and it was by far the worst one. Like I had to argue that it should even count as one of these. It was a cool site. They were doing well, but we were doing better. We came in and replaced them.
Well, something happened to replace them.
Yeah.
But the point is, as time goes on, humans today are probably the most feeble version of humans that have ever existed.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And we're the most feeble versions of people that have existed within the last century, right? Like if you go back to humans from the 1920s versus humans from the 2020s, people have way less testosterone now, way higher instances of miscarriages, way lower sperm count. there's a lot of factors that are at play right now that are changing what a human is. And if you extrapolate, if you look at the future, you would naturally say, well, we're probably going to be very thin. It seems like there's at least some sort of a push to eliminate gender. Like gender seems like it's on the table as whether or not it's even necessary. There's all sorts of new technological innovations that are leading to the possibility, at least sometime in the future, of an artificial womb. There's genetic engineering with CRISPR and a lot of other different technologies that are being explored that we might be able to engineer human beings and then even create a complete individual human being without a mother, without a father. So if you thought about what that looks like in the future, like one of our problems on this planet is we all have different ideologies, different religions, come from different parts of the world. We look different. And human beings, as tribal primates, have a tendency to other. We other different tribes. Those are not us. We are us. Those are the enemy. We go out. But exactly the same. And we share one mind, then a lot of our problems go away. Yeah. If we no longer have to compete for resources, we no longer have the desire to procreate and to acquire land and to be, to have a territory, we eliminate a lot of our issues. And that's what these things look like. When you look at the archetypal, these iconic sort of shapes that have been on cave walls all the way up to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, one thing they share is that they have no muscle, they have large heads, they have big eyes.
And they're very paedomorphic, as we say. Yeah, you just tied together like a lot of really important points related to this theory. Aspects of why they're always interested in our gametes, why they come back and put that little machine on a man to collect semen, why they're constantly taking eggs from females and implanting fetuses, pulling them back out later. Like really focused on reproduction, gamete extraction, and one of the things that might be doing that in the future, if these are future humans, let's just assume for a second hypothetically, is that they might be having problems directly resulting from these trends toward self-domestication, these trends toward feminization, these trends toward reduced sperm counts, which is 60% across most populations of the world, and the industrialized 50% across the entire world. Problem with reproduction, in vitro fertilization, exogenesis chain might help solve some of those problems, growing the fetus out of the body. So yeah, and like you said, what do they look like? They look like kind of a hybrid between males and females to some extent, but there's still an essence of gender. Like if you talk to Whitley Strieber, he's with this being, he says in Communion that I had a sense that she was a woman. I don't know why, but I kind of sensed that. So it's almost like the essence of the individual, the soul of the individual still retains that sort of gender identity, even though our bodies are becoming more childlike, more gender indiscriminate. I don't know. But yeah, yet one of those ways in which we might sort of grow together as a species.
Now, when you say they are extracting sperm, like how many of these stories do you take seriously? There's a lot of these stories.
It's a great question, yeah.
There's unfortunately for any sort of spectacular public thing that's in the zeitgeist, like alien abduction, whether it's Whitley Strieber from Communion or the John Mack books, the guy from Harvard that wrote, what was it, Abduction?
Past Cosmos and Abduction,
yeah. Great books. But these are all books about encounters, close encounters of the third kind with some sort of a being from another place. Whatever it is, it's just not a human being, and it seems to be technologically at least superior to us. And it seems to be one thing they all seem to share is they seem to be able to communicate telekinetically or telepathically.
Yeah, and I mean, they aren't human, but they are very human too. So, for instance, like that's one of the main reasons I started exploring this. I was actually kind of put to this when I was 8 or 9 years old, sort of activated and put on this path by a weird thing that happened to me when I was a kid. Well, so I talk about it in my first 2 books, Identifying Objects and the Extratempestrial Model, where I learned about a close encounter that my dad had. He was a veterinarian in Northeast Ohio where I grew up. And he was out one night on a call with another guy. So there's two people. As far as Jalen Hynek's reliability scale, has more reliability because there's multiple witnesses. It's also strange on his scale because they crested the hill. There's a bright light. This is an Amish country. There's no lights in Amish country. And all of a sudden, this bright light darts toward them, hovers just above their tree, darts back to where it was, and straight up into space at incredible speed. So this happened before I was born, but I overheard him telling the story to some friends one night. He got Whitley Strieber's book Communion, as most people did in the 1980s, and as they should. And I walked into the living room. The book is on the shelf facing out. And I remember, like it was yesterday, sort of stopped, and there was like this light, like a white light. Then I saw this image in my mind of like an early hominin, chimpanzee-like creature, a modern human, and then that archetypal gray alien from the cover with this information. What if they're related? What if they are us from the future? And obviously, I mean, that's why I became a biological anthropologist. People are always like...
So you saw this?
Yeah. It was like a flash, like a light. And, it's weird looking back on it because I know a lot more about experiences. I've talked to people that have had these types of experiences.
What setting?
It was our living room. So it was like you come in the front door and just to the left there's this living room, built-in bookshelf, Whitley's right there. I just turned the corner, saw it, and then like just kind of, it just came. Like I didn't know shit about evolutionary mind. Just this white, that image of the three faces, and then the question, could they be us from the future? And people are like, how'd you get into UFOs? Like, you're a biological anthropologist. It's the opposite. I got into biological anthropology to research this question of they could be us from the future.
Huh. So this, you felt like at that moment it wasn't just like a weird thought or a dream. It felt like a message. Like, what did it feel like?
Yeah. It was a tasking. I think Rupert Sheldrake said that people don't have ideas have people. I thought was like hey, go do this thing. And that's why we're here now talking about it. So, you got to be careful about like selection bias and confirmation bias. Like I didn't go into this. I didn't go into grad school. Didn't tell anybody in grad school I was there because they would have kicked me out. But I went into it with an open mind. But I was there to study these things because of that event when I was 8 years old.
Wow. Yeah, it is a problem, the confirmation bias. It is a problem with wanting it to be real. And I struggle with that because I desperately want it to be real. And so every time I talk to someone, I've talked to a bunch of people that are, air quote, whistleblowers. And some of them, I think, for sure, have been sent in here to distribute disinformation.
Yeah, no doubt.
For sure. Great place to do it.
Yeah.
I'll listen to you. Yeah. I'll entertain almost anything.
Which we need that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously there's people that are going to take advantage of it.
But I think it's important for me to say I'm not convinced. I don't know how much of this is horseshit, but it's not zero.